Hey, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's the Big Canucker here, and we're going to have something to look at here today. Just want to apologize. Been away for a little bit here again. Just had to head up to see my surgeon. I guess as a lot of you guys know, I've been having issues with my 3 surgeries on my foot. I got to have another 4th one, and so what I ended up having to do is head up to Calgary and find out when my next surgery is going to be. But in the meantime, one of the screws that's holding my foot together decided to work its way out and poke out the top of my foot and start to come through the skin. And it was really, really painful when I would put a shoe on. So I ended up having to stay there an extra day, and they ended up pulling that out of my foot. So it is a little titanium screw, and it's really, really neat. And so I will actually quickly put the x-ray of my foot down below here so you can have a quick look. And you can see that it started to work its way up, and it was a really quick procedure. Now, all right, so what we want to have a look at here is we want to have a look at a wonderful knife that was given to me really quick before we get onto my regular knife. Is just we're so close to 1,000 subscribers, and when we hit that 1,000 subscribers, a wonderful subscriber by the name of Patrick Anderson, he ended up gifting to this channel a beautiful, beautiful Italian-made knife that is going to be given away here. It is gorgeous, gorgeous, and it's going to be given away to once we hit 1,000 subscribers. Now, I'm off to see my mother-in-law in Winnipeg here for her birthday here at the end of the week. So if we happen to hit 1,000 subscribers while I'm away, when I get back, we'll be having a look at this, and we'll be saying thank you, and we'll be giving a draw, and we'll do that coming up next week. So I'm hoping next week. Maybe I shouldn't count my chickens before they're in the deep fryer. All right. So what I want to have a look at here is a knife that I didn't think that I would like. Well, yeah. I mean, from a long time ago, my knife of choice has been a Spyderco knives. I'm a huge Spyderco fanboy. And I gotta say, they make a wonderful, wonderful project. Wonderful, wonderful tools. I'm so happy with them. And then I decided that, you know what, if I'm gonna get serious about this knife collecting, let's open up your horizons a little bit. So what I ended up doing is I ended up stopping to a fella in Winnipeg, and I picked up this Recon, and with the CTS XHP steel in it. It's the clip point version. I actually wanted the Tanto version, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers, and I ended up finding a used one here, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a wonderful, wonderful knife. This triad lock, man, I'd heard so much about that triad lock, and I seen the ads on YouTube where Andrew Demko was taking this thing and putting it in some big contraption and smacking it against a brick wall and stuff like that, and then the knife was completely fine, and I was like, holy shit, that's got something to say about it. But because they're so ostentatious, and I have to tell you that the old owner of Cold Steel is Len Thompson. Yes, now there's a guy who's into I'm not gonna say self-gratification, because we all are into self-gratification, but he lets people know he's Lem Thompson, and he makes a hell of a knife, and there's no doubt about it. He lets people know by chopping pigs in half and stuff like that. And me being a nice Canadian boy, I thought, I'm gonna put my nose up at those brash merkins, and I ended up depriving myself of some wonderful, wonderful knives, this being one of them. So I ended up getting this knife, and then I fell in love with another knife. This bugger right here, the Andrew Demko designed 8015 with a scorpion lock on it, and you can see that mine has been custom colored here. I did that myself, and I like it way better than the OD green. And I gotta tell you, wow, this here is one of my all-time favorite knives in every way imaginable. It's fidgety, it's beastly, it cuts wonderfully, it holds an edge, it looks good, it sounds good. and I thought, oh, wow. And when this kind of came out, another knife came out at the same time, and I figured that I would like the Scorpion lock a little bit better than just the Triad lock. And I gotta say, man, oh man, I deprived myself of a wonderful blade in this Ad-10. Now this here is another Andrew Demko designed. This one here is modeled after the Andrew Demko Custom, the Formax, which is a beastly, crazily expensive knife. And this one here, about $180 American, and I have to say that this is one of the absolute best bang for your buck value knives imaginable. So let's head to the tabletop and we'll go over it a little bit more. All right, so here we're going to put these kind of side by side so you can see, these are not small knives, any of them. And I thought the Ad-10 was going to be a smaller knife than the Ad-15, just based upon some of the quick glances. But you can see here. Now let's put the Spyderco Delica. And you can see that the Delica is dwarfed by these trio of behemoths here. There's no doubt about it that these are all really, really large knives. So let's put this Recon away. And let's put this Ad-15 away. And let's talk about this Ad-10. Now let's go over some of the specs here a little bit. Just to grab myself a little bit of the Fizzy Boobala. Oh, sorry about that. I'm dealing with a little bit of a, I'm not going to say head cold, because of COVID and all that stuff, but a little bit of a head cold. And it is a head cold because I have been tested and I am COVID negative, double vax, and the whole thing. So you'll have to excuse me here a little bit if I pause to drink myself some liquids. All right, so your weight here, it's kind of a bigger knife here at 6.9 ounces. Now, they say the blade is 3.8 mil, which is, a smidge under 4, and you can see how it kind of tapers here into, the tip here is quite a bit thicker. That's giving it a little bit of extra strength. Now, the edge length, or the blade here, now they say on the Cold Steel website, they say that the blade length is 4 inches. Now, maybe what they could be talking about is the cutting edge, because this is quite a nice sweeping edge, but if you measure this from the point that it touches the G10 to the very tip, it is 3.5 inches. So, hey, you know what? We all like to add, half an inch when we can at the minimum. So, hey, why is Cold Steel any different? Now, the handle material is actually a G10, and the entire length is 4.78 inches for a total combined length of 8 3/8 inches. It's like I said, it's kind of a big knife, and it does fill the hands wonderfully. I mean, it's contoured G10. It's not just completely flat. It's a very, very thick knife. Now, I'm going to say at its thickest, it has got to be over at half an inch, but it doesn't seem like, it doesn't carry like it's a big giant knife. It carries very, very well, as a matter of fact. I was really, really impressed. When I put this in the pocket, it doesn't feel like a 7-ounce knife. I'm wearing a pair of kind of a lighter shorts here today, and there's no issues with this whatsoever. Sometimes you can get knives that are kind of so big, they're kind of give you the old kind of saggy pocket. Well, this one here doesn't seem to be, even though it is 6.9 ounces. All right, so having a look at the blade. Now, when they originally came out, they were a hollow grind blade. Now, this here seems to be a flat grind, high saber grind, and it is, I would say, a little thick behind the edge. This is still, a cardboard cutting beast, but when you are going to cut some apples, perhaps it'll crack the apple a little bit, but it'll laser beam through cardboard, and it's so damn comfortable when you do cut with it. Now, it's got a couple of really big thumb studs on it, and of course, it does have the Triad lock, which is one of the toughest locks known to mankind. It's not just a back lock where it hooks. There's actually a little pin inside there, too. If you have the opportunity to check out Andrew Demko's how he came up with this lock and what it is, I'd definitely go and check it out. I had the pleasure of talking to Mr. Demko for about 45 minutes. We did an interview, so don't forget to go check that out. And it was a lot of research and development went into making this lock, and it as it was an epiphany to him. And the way he explained it was that locks out there had, around most of the locks out there had an 80-pound failure, weight. You kind of put it there and you put 80 pounds on the lock, and all of a sudden the lock would destroy. when he ended up doing this triad lock, he was putting 1,000 pounds on there before this lock would look at breaking. You know, the blade was actually breaking, shearing off before the lock was breaking. So that's how much of an advancement that triad lock was to the knife industry. And if there is such thing as a Cutlery Hall of Fame for the triad lock design, Andrew Demko deserves to be in, I do believe, the Cutlery Hall of Fame. And he's also come out with some other ones too. The Scorpion lock, the Shark lock, which I can hardly wait to get in. If you're in Southern Alberta and you're looking for an Andrew Demko Shark lock, just a little bit off the topic, there's actually Alberta Firearms or Alberta Hardware and Variety in Fort Macleod. Stephen there, he's opened up a knife shop. He's got some Spyderco stuff. He's got some Browning stuff. He's also going to be bringing in some Demko products. So if you're looking for a Demko product, and they're going to be probably landing, I'm going to say late November, early December. If you want to give them a call, I don't have their number right off the top of my head, but if you want to drop me a message, I'll put you in touch with them, or when they land, I'll definitely put out a video here that the Demkos have arrived. So if you want to pick yourself up one, I can help you out with. So just a little bit off topic, but all right. So let's go over this Ad-10 here a little bit more. A nice wide flat clip. Now this clip is really, really. I'm going to say it's tight. It's really, really tight. It's certainly not a deep carry clip by any stretch of the imagination, and it is contoured, so there does happen to be a left and a right hand clip. So depending upon how you carry this, if you're a left-handed guy, you'll want to use the left-handed clip, but if you're me and you're right hand, you want to put it in your right hand pocket, then this is the one to do. Now it is, like I said, it's not really a crazy deep carry, and it is really, really tight. I mean, I had a heck of a time putting this into this little pocket here. It goes in easier on my pants, but when I'm just doing this little bit of a demonstration here, it's kind of a pain in the butt. You can see, let me keep this nice and straight. So it is. So, and I mean, it's just a matter of kind of bending that out a little bit if I wanted to make that a little bit easier to go into the pocket. But there we go. But I like the fact that it holds so well in your pocket. There's nothing like losing a knife. It's almost like, I mean, it's almost painful losing a knife. I lost a Mannix 2XL in Calgary, and I was literally heartbroken for a couple of days. It was awful. So if a knife is a little bit stiff going in, I'm okay with that. Because it has good retention, and this does have good retention. So you can see it's got a little bit sticking out of the edge here. Not the end of the world. I mean, most of us here, I'm okay having a little bit stick out of the end. There are the occasional deep carry clip that's nice to have though, but this doesn't happen to be one of them. All right, so let's pull that out there again, and let's continue on here. Now, if you have a look here, they're actually aluminum liners. They're not steel liners. And I think part of the reason they went with a kind of aluminum alloy rather than steel was to save weight, because this is, like I said, a 6.9 ounces, and you add some steel liners in there, and all of a sudden you're above 7 ounces, and you're starting to get a little bit away. Now, I'm not too super worried about having aluminum liners in there, because, I mean, aluminum, an aluminum alloy can be damn tough, and you can get a military grade aluminum alloy that the Ford trucks were built in, and some of the U.S. military equipment with this aluminum, and it was tougher than steel. So just because it's aluminum, don't turn your nose up at that. I think it's just plenty of tough. Not only that, it does have some nice thick G10 liners on here, and G10 ounce per ounce is actually stronger than steel, especially when you're talking about some torsional rigidity. And that's where we're going to put a lot of stress on a knife, is actually by prying onto it. I don't think you have anything to worry about with this aluminum and G10. I think it's plenty of strong. This is a hard use beast. There's no doubt about it. Now, the ergonomics on this is absolutely fantastic. When you put this knife in your hand, you are blown away by how well it's designed to fit in a hand. Now, I've got double XL hands, and this fits me extremely, extremely well. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Now, if you have a look here, looks like there's a little bit of a a pinhole there. And I guess that what that was for was actually you can put like kind of a wire in there if you want to use this as kind of a fixed blade and you're doing some really kind of heavy duty things with it. I guess it's kind of a little bit of a safety guard. With the triad lock, I don't know if you're going to need it, but better safe than sorry. I know that Andrew Demko tells a story how he given Len Thompson one of the prototypes. I think it was the 4-Max knife. I don't know if it was this. I think it was the 4-Max. And Len Thompson had absolutely zero fear whatsoever. He would just take this thing and then bam into the hood of a car, and he was going crazy with it. So Andrew put this pinhole in there to put a pin in there just because he didn't want to have Len Thompson show up on a Monday, a la 2 fingers, without 2 fingers. So that's what it's there for. I think that's my opinion. Now you've got some nice big jimping here. Now this jimping here is it's not crazy hot spot jimping. I mean, there is some jimping, especially on some of the cold steel products, that it really digs into your hand, and this does a really, really nice job. Now I like having that jimping that's not so hard into your hands, because I think a lot of these things, if you're going to be really, really hard use with them, you're going to be putting on a pair of gloves, and this large jimping, I think it suits some gloves a lot better. And when you really press in there with some gloves, you're going to grab onto it. So I always, if it's not, the edges aren't broken up on the jimping already, I will do it myself. I take my little ceramic Spyderco files and I kind of break these edges down a little bit, so it is way more comfortable without a pair of gloves on. And I don't think you're losing any grip at all, because if you're going to use this with a pair of gloves, those large jimping, that's going to fit in there really, really well. I'm not too worried about that. Now, of course, you've got a big, nice kind of lanyard hole here, which I actually love. I have to have a lanyard hole. I mean, I don't have to, but I think that it's wonderful to have, because I like putting lanyards on all of my knives. Usually a leather one, but I had some paracord here, and it was done up. Now, the other thing here too is it's got a nice, back spacer. The fit and finish on this knife was fantastic. Now, it came out of Taiwan, and there are some people there who kind of give those foreign-made knives, they'll turn their nose up on it. I don't think you have anything to worry about. Cold Steel has really, really put the Taiwanese manufacturers on high alert that not to mess around with their American customers or their North American customers, because nothing will kill a relationship more than the made in China type thing or made in Asia, the cheapness. And I don't think you're getting a cheap knife by any stretch of the imagination. I think you are getting pound for pound, ounce for ounce, one of the best valued folders that's in the market right now in this Ad-10. I mean, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, you take this Ad-10 as an Andrew Demko custom, and I think you're looking at $1,000 or $650. You're looking at a huge pile of money, where you get this out of a Cold Steel, and you're around $180 American. In Canada here, I think if they're $240, $249, something like that. You're getting super steel, you're getting a triad lock, you're getting a wicked contoured G10 that's comfortable as hell, you're getting a beefy knife that is overbuilt. This is a knife that will, without a doubt, save your life on a desert island. If I had to have a knife, only one knife, hey, and it's a folding knife, this might be one of them right here. Fantastic. Now, if I did have to maybe put a little bit of knocks on here, I would say perhaps the just some of the edges can be maybe broken down just a little bit more, because when it did come, these were kind of a little bit sharp. This edge here was a little bit sharp too as well. And the other thing is, I wish they would have perhaps done something a little bit different with the way this kind of was, to give it a little more safety. Now, with the triad lock, a lot of people consider that kind of just a two-way folder, or a two-handed folder where you push it down and then close the knife and you're out. But most of us in the knife industry who collect and use a lot of knives, they want to make sure that their knife can open and close with one hand, and this one can. Let's see here. So let's close this up. So yeah, of course you're going to open it up. It'll thumb flick open, no problem, smooth as hell. And then you can, if you're going to use the one-handed closing on this technique, you want to make sure your finger is to the front of this choil as much as possible, and then you can actually shake it down a little bit, and your finger doesn't hit on any of the blade, but it is close. If your finger's not in the right place, jammed up to the front, you're going to cut yourself. If your hand happens to be back here, the next thing you know, you're right into the cutting position, and you're going to get yourself a nasty cut, because this is kind of a thicker blade. It is a free swinging blade, and it is sharp as hell, so you are going to get cut there, no doubt about it. I wish they had done something just a little bit different there in the front, because, when you're doing some of the other Andrew Demko designed knives here, you've got this, so you can just close this just like that, and your fingers are completely out of the way. There's no doubt about it. You can just do that, and your fingers are out of the way, so you're not going to get cut with the 8015. And then let's have a look at this one. I don't think this one you'll get cut either. See, same thing. You put your finger at the front, you close it, and then there you go. So this one doesn't even have to be jammed up to the front, as long as your finger's in that front groove, and it's going to run into that. That's my only real kind of gripe with this a little bit, is I wish they'd done something a little bit different. And these thumb studs are a little bit sharp. I mean, I'd have to kind of maybe pull them off, put them in a tumbler a little bit. I don't need a whole lot of grip with my thumb studs, because I don't use my thumb very much like this, my thumb pad. I use my fingernail most of the time to flick open any of my knives that have got thumb studs on them. So it does kind of tear a little bit at my thumbnail after a while, and I do know that if I use the pad of my thumb, it will kind of tear into that too. And I know it's, hey, first world problems, maybe I should suck it up and stop having little hands that are like veal. But I've been off work for 5 years, sitting behind a computer here doing YouTube videos, and rather than out my old job where I'd be cutting shit left and right, and get these hands there a little bit roughed up. Maybe when I'm back to work here after this whole foot thing goes away, then I will be complaining a whole lot less. But I just wish that this was a little bit more, a little less sharp. That's my big old beef. So 8010, if you're a guy out there looking for an 8010, get one. Or if you're looking for a heavy duty, overbuilt knife that's fun, that's great value for the money, 8010 I think is the absolute way to go. I don't think you'll have any complaints with it. I have cut some damn cardboard with this. I was actually having to cut some ice cream cake from Dairy Queen. Now this is not a you're thinking to yourself, oh, here we go again with the old pussy things to cut. But when you're cutting an ice cream cake, it is damn hard. And not only did I have to cut into it, I took the knife and I pried that cake apart. And that is not for the faint of heart when you're prying with a knife. And this thing here walked through it absolutely no problem. I thought, because I was putting a lot of freaking pressure on that thing, and it went through like no problem. So I know that we say that knives aren't for prying, they're for cutting, but sometimes you do got to do a little bit of prying, and if you do got to do one, the 8010 is one to do it with. I would even say that this knife is strong enough that you could baton with it. Although you're not supposed to, if you are going to baton with any sort of a folding knife, you want to make sure that the lock is disengaged and you baton like this. This one here, I believe, is strong enough to baton your way through a 2x4 with minimal or zero damage at all. So, now, we're not out of the woods yet, everybody. Please stay safe. Keep your stick on the ice. Keep your shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker. Say adios.